Hey guys, welcome back to Toe Tags Metal Reviews, and today we're going to give you guys our final review of Welcome to Bonkers by Nekrogoblikon. So I'm going to open up the floor here with my thoughts of this album after 1 week, and holy shit, this album is still as great as it was from my first impressions. This has been such an enjoyable album to listen to, also rather short. It's only about 45 minutes, so you know, sometimes with shorter albums, it's harder to put it on repeat over and over.
I find that's a decent length, though.
It is a decent length.
It doesn't feel short.
Yeah, it doesn't feel short. I think that's because there's so much content in this album.
True.
But with short albums, you know, it is a little bit more difficult to loop it over and over because there's so little content. You think you'd get tired of it. I did not get tired of any one of these songs. There was no song in this album that I said skip or said, maybe the next one, unless there's a specific song I wanted to listen to for whatever reason. You know, you'd think a song like The Magic Spider, I already commented on this song last week, but you'd think a song like that would be, you know, the joke song that's like, okay, whatever, and then as you're listening to it, like, okay, you start skipping it after enough time.
It's very catchy.
It is very catchy, it's very fun, it still has a sharp element of metal in it.
It does.
Despite it being a really silly song.
Yep.
So I think that's just so well done and well crafted, as it is with this entire album. All these songs have so many different sections that flow together really well. You know, a song like Dragons starts like a kind of retro video game feel, then it goes to like a kind of circusy, like
carnival music
kind of feel.
Yep.
And it just goes back and forth, and it sounds great. And man, this album is incredible. My favorite tracks probably after the course of 1 week are Dragons in Row. Like I can't really put them above each other. They're just both so enjoyable for me. So anything you got to say?
Yeah, you know what, this album, one of the best things about this album is I feel like each song has its own identity. This is something we talk about and we touch on for a lot of our album reviews, is songs have to have their own individual identity and they have to be their own entity pretty much. And this album has that, and it does it very well. A song starts, you know exactly what song it is. They have their respective intros. They each have different, you know, instruments throughout them. You'll hear a lot of different things in here: harpsichord, accordions, banjos, some flute, wind instruments, all kinds of stuff. There's things peppered throughout this album that just fill the entire sound in such an awesome way that when you're listening to it, you're constantly noticing new things, and they're awesome things. Little screams in the background, weird noises, weird effects on the vocals, all kinds of stuff like that. Really, really love that stuff. Like you, there was not a single song that I skipped on this album. I liked every single song. We talked about the Magic Spider, even the last song, Goblins, which is a much slower, almost ballady type song. Not a love ballad by any means, but it's definitely slower. A clean vocal throughout the whole thing. Still an awesome song, very enjoyable to listen to. But the songs I was gravitating towards the most are Mold, which is the first song. I freaking love that song. One of my favorite parts on the entire album is in that song, and that's towards the end. There's a clean vocal part in the bridge, and then there's this syncopated polyrhythm for like part of a bar, and then it goes back to normal, then it goes back to another syncopated polyrhythm, which is slightly different than the first one, and it throws you off at first when you're listening to it, and then you just realize how freaking badass it is. And it is badass. But that whole song is just so well structured. Other than that, Row, you mentioned Row, that song is just dirty. Such awesome grooves in that song. But my next favorite song is probably Dressed as Goblins, which was their single. This song is freaking sick. The vocals on this song are amazing. Just certain things he does, like in the start of the chorus, the second line starts with the word boom, and the way he says boom, he sounds like a fucking pissed off cougar or something. Like, it just, the way his voice is just sounds so badass. I love it. But yeah, man, there's so much good stuff about this album. This is chock full of just top-notch content. But yeah, I don't know, man. I can keep talking about it. I can keep going.
There's a lot in this album. Another thing I wanted to mention is that as I was listening to it, I was kind of being reminded of Cradle of Filth. And at first I'm trying to think, like, why is that? Why is this happening? And I realized it's how rhythmic the vocals are. How they're really sharp, clear-cut, having either being on 8th notes or 16th notes. Danny Filth does that a lot in Cradle of Filth's music. And I feel like The Skin Thief kind of sounds the most Cradle-esque out of any of the tracks in this album.
I get that too. I don't think they sound like Cradle, but you can definitely hear elements of that in there.
Yeah.
I've said this before, I feel like the singer of Nekrogoblikon, his vocal tone and his the pitch of his scream voice is very similar to Trevor Sternad from Black Dahlia Murder. So you hear elements of different things all over the place, but this band sounds very unique because of the, I guess because of the instruments they use, you know, throughout their music.
It's very varied. It's not something you'd really expect typically.
It's varied, but it sounds like a full package. It doesn't sound like each song's a different band or each song is like sticks out like a sore thumb. It still feels like one full package, even though each song, like we said, has its own identity and kind of is its own thing. It's so well put together. It's very well mixed as well. You listen to this on a nice set of studio monitors, good headphones, or a nice surround sound system or something like that. It sounds phenomenal. It's mixed very well.
Yeah, that is true. I found like with all these small things that you talked about, all these tiny screams or all these things you picked out throughout the album, it's really, you have to really listen for it because there's so much going on. But when you hear it, it becomes so clear, especially on a good sound system, as you were saying.
Prominent, yeah. Like what's one song? I'm trying to remember now. Let me look at these song lists. Thanks for Nothing Moon. Thanks for Nothing Moon. If you're not paying too much attention, you'll probably miss it, but there's a scream in that song. It's kind of in the background. I don't even know if it's a scream or if it's more like a chant or it's a howl or something like that, but it's a scream. It's got a vocal effect on it, so it sounds a little off, but it's so fucking cool. And I don't know, it's just those little things that they put in there, they just pepper in there throughout the album that fill out the song, they create the ambience, and they really just hit a home run with it, in my opinion. So let's get to ratings.
All right. Who's going first? Who's gonna rate this first?
I'll rate it first. I just finished saying it hit a home run. I think this album, from the cover art to the music itself, to the music videos even, which are super fun to watch, super entertaining, this album gets a toe tag. Very easy for me, so fun to listen to. I had no qualms with this album at all. I can't even think of a negative thing to say about it. You mentioned the length. I think 45 minutes is a pretty solid length for an album. Short for me would probably be on the 35-minute mark or less, and long is obviously maybe an hour or more. This is right in the middle. This is like that sweet spot of length, where you're listening to an album and it doesn't feel like it's dragging on too long, but it doesn't feel like it ends too short. I think they did everything right with this album. Definitely toe tag for me.
Another thing to mention about the length and how this album doesn't feel, that short is because there's so much content. It feels like you're getting so much, and then when it's over, it's like, oh, that's only 45 minutes. And you took a lot of the words right out of my mouth, as you typically do.
All right.
But this album, you said it well, was a home run. I also cannot think of anything negative about this album. From front to back, it's incredible, it's crazy. The album title is very fitting as Welcome to Bonkers, and this album gets a toe tag from me, meaning this album gets added to our list of two toe tags recipients. And wow, man, what a trip. I had a lot of fun listening to this one over the week.
You guys gotta check it out. Don't sleep on this album. It might not be everybody's, bowl of soup, but I still think it's worth checking out. It's worth giving it a chance.
Absolutely.
Even if it comes across a little bit bizarre at first, or a little bit hokey or silly, just listen to it. It's fucking good.
Yeah, and I feel like there are enough elements from other bands that you kind of hear in this album that are going to appeal to just more of a general metal audience as well.
Right. Yeah.
So, yeah, man, two toe tags, well deserved by Nekrogoblikon. This album is nuts. You guys should definitely check it out. But that's all we got for you today. Remember to like this video if you liked it. Tell us what you thought of this album, what you think of their other albums in the comments below. Subscribe if you guys really like us, because we got all this metal content coming for you very soon. I'm TV Fish.
And I'm Vile Self.
We'll catch you guys later.
Later.